going to go in then.
Now I say almost good enough, as this is all actually fake food. You see, during filming of the first film, real food was used on set, and at first it smelled and looked absolutely delicious. However, after hours under those hot studio lights, it no longer started to look or smell so delicious, so the decision was made to use replica food instead. This was all made of resin and was made by Pierre Bahana and his property boutique. Now, as you walk in and look around, you might have noticed that there is something missing. If you look up, it's the ceiling. Now, as you know, the Great Hall ceiling was enchanted to look like the night sky, and it would have been a bit tricky to get clouds and stars in here, so those were all magically added with computers. A ceiling model was made, however, and you'll see that around the corner in just a moment. Now, while the ceiling may not be real, the floor is. It is real York flagstone, just like you find in a real castle. On the first film, the filmmakers realised that the floor would have to endure a lot of wear and tear, and so using real stone was the first way to make it last. And it survived some of the biggest scenes in the film series. Big scenes such as the sorting hat ceremony. And as you can see, we have our 4 Hogwarts houses in here with us, and as we are celebrating Slytherin, I'll start with them first. So if you look opposite me to the right over there, you'll see some of the unforgettable members of Slytherin House. In the centre, in the iconic green and black colours, we have the robes of Draco Malfoy that he wore in the Order of the Phoenix, with his inquisitorial sword badge given to him by Professor Umbridge. And then if you look to my left, you'll see the yellow and black colours of the loyal Hufflepuff House, including the uniform worn by Cedric Diggory in the Trials of Torment in the Goblet of Fire. And then oppositely to the left over there, you will see the silver and blue colours of the wise Ravenclaw House, including the robes of Moaning Myrtle, who haunted the girls' bathroom. And then, of course, last but not least, here at the very end, we have the House of our heroes, the brave Gryffindor House. With this very stylish colour, worn by Neville Longbottom when he faced against the Dark Lord in the other colours. And then here at the very end, we have Daniel Radcliffe's very first set of visiting robes that he wore in the Philosopher's Stone when he was just 11 years old, including the original Gryffindor tie and his tiny wizard's hat. How adorable. Now, just like Harry, Ron and Hermione, you walk through those great hall doors, down the centre aisle, and up to the teacher's table, where you could have been sorted in front of Britain's finest acting talent. In the very centre, you'll see the costume of Albus Dumbledore, worn by Richard Harris, in the scene depicted here today, where he awarded Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Neville some last-minute house points, allowing Gryffindor to snatch the victory away from Slytherin. And then if you look here to my right, you'll see the costume of Rubius Hagrid, who was played by Robbie Coltrane. However, Robbie did not wear this particular costume. You You see, even though he was already tall, 6'2", he wasn't quite tall enough to play the half giant. So this costume was actually worn by his size double, Martin Bayfield, who was an ex-England rugby player and stands at a massive 6'10". All they did was just add stilts to his shoes, level out his costume, and then fitted him with an animatronic head resembling Robbie Coltrane's face, which you will all see later on in the Creatures Workshop. But now, ladies and gentlemen, our time here at the Great Hall has nearly come to an end, so just a few things before you move on. Firstly, if you picked up one of our Studio Tour passports, be on the lookout for 7 stamping locations and 16 golden snitches hidden throughout the sets. The first stamp is located at Gryffindor Common Room, and the first snitch is hanging in the left archway just over there. If you picked up one of our digital guides, be on the lookout for the number of tour icons. You'll find number 1 through those archways on the director's board. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you're more than welcome to take more photos here within the Great Hall before continuing around the corner.
you possess the predisposition. I can teach you how to bewitch the mind and ensnare the senses. I can tell you how to dock your fame, grew, glory, and even to stop it in death. Then again, maybe some of you have come to Hogwarts in possession of abilities so formidable that you feel confident enough to not pay attention.
Hi guys, welcome to the Warner Brothers Studio tour in London.
Mr. Potter. You select. Tell me, what would I get if I had
We
a
have potions class behind me.
You don't know? Well, let's try again. Where, Mr. Potter, would you look if I asked you to find me a bezel? And what is the difference between Monkshood and Wolfbane? Really? Fame isn't everything, is it, Mr. Potter? No foolish wand-waving or silly incantations in this class. As such, I don't expect many of you to appreciate the subtle science and exact
And we have here a Draco Malfoy.
I can teach you to which the man snares
Instead of just being restricted to their own space, there are elements of a portrait on the counter. He also used it to gain attention. So when those who had only downstairs, portraits also reacted to what was going on. So you have the kids upstairs, the frenetic energy of that, you have the energy coming from portraits back.
This is the Slytherin common room. Gryffindor common room. This is Dumbledore's office. We are at the Borough.
Wave your hand and that's you washing the hands, Rudy. Thank you. The other one, you can chop the carrots. Wave your hand and chop the carrots. Press it again, Susie. Press the pan.
We are just about to enter the dark forest. And we have Rubeus Hagrid there. Lord Voldemort there. and not that button there changes all the lighting effects. Hiya. Can you tell me a bit more about Buxby and how he's made, or?
Yeah, so he's got hundreds of tiny electrical motors inside him to give him that lifelike movement. Obviously, as you know, he's half horse, half eagle, so the feathers are actually dyed chicken feathers.
Oh, right, okay.
There's a lady called Val Jones, her job title is featherologist. A lovely title.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of a featherologist
No,
until I
no.
worked here. And she has to put on each feather one at a time, so that they move with him, otherwise they'll ruffle up when
Alright.
they move. So, and then obviously the horse hairs are put on as well at the back. And he's one of 4 different buckbeaks, so we have the moving model
Yeah.
here. They made a static version, standing version, just for the background. And they had a prone version where he's lying down when he's in the pumpkin patch at Hagrid's hut, just before he's about to be executed.
Alright.
And then the 4th one, of course, is the flying one, which is CGI, so
Yeah.
it doesn't exist in a physical form, so there's 4 versions. And we like Buckbeak because he was involved in 2 rescue scenes, of
Yeah.
course.
He was.
He rescues Harry and Hermione when Lupin's werewolf, of course.
Yeah.
And of course he rescues Sirius Black as well in the same story, in The Prisoner of Azkaban. So, and then he lives in Grimmauld Place. He
Yeah.
lives in Sirius' mother's room.
All right, okay.
And then when Sirius dies, Harry inherits him again.
Yeah.
And Harry says, "Come and live with Hagrid." And they change his name to Witherwings just to disguise him, so he's not called Buckbeak anymore. And the last we know of him, he was involved in the Battle of Hogwarts, but does survive it. But we don't know quite. We assume he carries on living with Hagrid after that, but it was never actually confirmed. So yeah. So one of the best creatures in the whole stories, I think. So yeah, he should have featured more, I think.
Yeah, I mean, too, honestly.
And I can see you're a Slytherin.
I am indeed, yeah.
Picked the right
I
time
am.
to come because
So,
we're celebrating
yeah,
Slytherin.
so that's why I've come, to be honest. So,
good stuff. Yeah. So you've been.
Hi, excuse me, can you tell me a bit more about the Dark Forest?
Sorry?
Can you tell me a bit more about the Dark Forest?
So the set was a complicated one for them to create because it was ever changing.
Yeah.
So when they were first entering the forest, they would often go to a real forest, and then when they needed the trees to be bigger, they recreated the forest. All of the trees are made of fiberglass,
Yeah.
and it was, with the set, it was always a very big set. It took up like half a soundstage, and it was very expensive to keep up, so they'd actually tear it down after every film and rebuild it.
Yeah.
So they rebuilt the forest sort of 5 or 6 times. All of the cobwebs are made out of fishing wire. All of the spiders are made out of coconut hair and yak hair. Aragog himself is 18 foot wide and fully extended, and they made 2 different versions. They made this one with the hydraulics so it moves,
Yeah.
and they made another version that's controlled by cockpit, and you actually see that on the
Yeah.
water. And then over there you have the dog wearing the light vest.
Yeah.
And that is how they made the Patronus. Basically, when you shine the camera on the light now, you don't have any light, you see that blur.
Yeah.
They got wood pounds, they put the vest on and then run through the forest. That way they can impose the stag onto it afterwards. So that's how they would film Patronus in the forest.
All right, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
To 9 3/4. And there is the Hogwarts Express. welcome to Gringotts Bank. Hiya, you're right. Can you tell me about a bit more about Gringotts?
Of course I can. So, lovely Gringotts today. We'll talk about the chandelier, I think. It's one of the most beautiful things.
It is, yeah.
The most. So, there are 30,000 individual beads in that large one and 15,000 in each small one. 75,000 in total.
Wow.
They're not made out of glass, but instead out of polyester plastic, which A, a little bit cheaper,
Yeah.
also it's safer. Especially, have we seen on the films?
Yeah, I have, yeah,
Dressed
yeah.
in the lovely Slytherin costume. But in the final film, the dragon comes in and destroys everything.
Yeah.
We have the glass, the chandeliers are like half broken, things like that, and we didn't want glass. Just because
Yeah.
sorry about this. Now, these lovely pillars. There's a video around the corner that explains it. Much better than mine.
Yeah.
But they are made out of not polystyrene, plaster.
Yeah.
And then it's a mold of just a generic looking pillar, and then we have these just wallpaper. You can even see where the seams are for how high the wallpaper goes. Now all these black lines that you see have all been hand drawn on.
All hand drawn?
Yep.
Blimey.
They would get a paintbrush and they would just ever so slowly, one by one, to make it look like that added detail so that it looked as effective as marble as possible. Now, the problem that they ran into was that when they had to destroy the entire set with the dragon, they would have to be marble chunks
Yeah.
drawn across the floor. But as these pillars aren't made out of marble, they would have just been put to rubble. They would have just kind of pulverized the
Yeah.
second they did any damage to them. So they had to make unique blocks of fake marble using the same kind of techniques,
Yeah.
but chunks of marble, wrap it around in that same kind of wallpaper, just to get that effect, which isn't something you'd think a problem they'd have to run into, but it's nice to look out for
Yeah.
in the later film.
So, yeah, thank you for that.
No problem.
How long did it to take to build the set? So, how long was it? Did it take?
How long? Oh,
Yeah.
we usually don't know the timings of things. We know the timing of we don't really know the timing of. Usually, what would happen is they would be making a set like this, something wonderful like this, and then the producer directors they would decide
Yeah.
that they needed something else done quicker, whether it be a prop, another set, something along those lines. And so they would have to remove people from that, people the project were working on, some maybe even all of them, to then work on it, which is why timing becomes a lot more challenging because they never really focus on the same thing at the same time. So unfortunately I don't have an exact,
All right. Okay.
but it would have taken a good couple of months.
Yeah.
At the very least to build the
Blimey,
set.
blimey.
They would have had to, I mean this is just from building it,
Yeah.
when they had all the parts, they had to do a white card model concept
Yeah.
art beforehand, build all the stuff themselves. I'm talking purely about when everything's done and then just constructing the
Yeah.
set as it is. It's still a couple of months. I mean, challenge.
I thought it would be longer than that, to be honest. So,
I mean, they quite effective. I mean, the Hogwarts model,
yeah.
that only took 27 days to make.
Really?
Yes, 27 days.
Wow.
I mean, again, they had
Yeah.
to, all the parts, but to just sit down and do all of it,
Yeah.
27 days, there's a time lapse of it you can see later on in the tour. But it's, I guess, a very effective one.
Yeah.
One of the best in the business, of course, to be working on a film series like this.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that.
Have a good day
Okay,
today.
thank you.
Once it's dry, you can cast and that. But we can do 10, 20, 30, 100 columns out of this. In one cast, I use a hard cast called crane cast to give it a bit more strength. They've got to be very, very durable. Once they're cast, they go into an oven to dry out. This is our oven. If you leave these columns in there for, say, 3 or 4 days, they will be bone dry like a crisp. You know, really, really, really strong.
When the set is complete, the columns themselves and the walls were hand-dipped marble silver. First of all, that marble silver decided to stand because we used the fabric similar to the face of the film. And the paint this type of water, you will put a boil down instead. It's a bit like a little lesson. And then you can still put the base out and it looks like we've got 3,000 marble. And then each piece of paper is in dipped and then hung dry.
Roll that behind.
Yeah.
Meant to have been carved out of a solid piece of rock. So when you looked at the set, it gave you that feeling that it was carved by hand and not fractured like it would be if it was a natural cave. So because of the nature and the curves we had in the set, we went with a PU foam. So the whole set is made out of PU foam with a timber frame. And that made it easier for us when Stuart came back into the set. He could then give us where the fissures go, because there were big, deep cuts into the side of the set. And then the shelving inside had that very fine carving effect on it, which was something that Stuart was quite keen on.
The replication effect of the treasure was actually very complex to work out. So there was 2 big challenges with the strange one. First,
Welcome to Diagon Alley. Ollivander's. Welcome to Hogwarts.
All that hard work and effort, hopefully you don't spot it. Like I say, hopefully you just enjoy the film and watching it. It's what it's about. It's what it's all about. Paul Westcott was one of the painters on Harry Potter. He and his, Paul's a legend, his team are amazing. And, at the end of the day, people going, oh, Paul, you did a really good job on that set. You want to believe you're actually real.
When you finish the plans, plans away and building it, mate, you're thinking, how have they done it?
There's a one shot in the second film. See all the greenhouses on the right?
Yeah.
So they had the camera pan down this model, and then they built some larger greenhouses as another model, and then the final shot was the set. So they combined 3 different scales and sets. And again, hopefully you don't notice it, just say, oh, it's a good shot, mate. Enjoy, have a great day.
Are you alright?
Slithering, are you?
I am indeed.
Excellent.
So can you tell me a bit more about Hogwarts?
Yeah, this is an amazing model. This was designed by a gentleman called Stuart Craig, who the last room you were in, 3 times Academy Award-winning production designer. And if you go back and look at the books, obviously Joe's got lots of really beautiful, wonderful description of that, but a lot of it Stuart had to sort of come up with. So it's designed to look like it's sort of over 1,000 years old. So he took inspiration from Oxford University. Famously, the Great Hall's modelled on Christ Church College in Oxford, which we didn't actually film in the end because they wanted bigger windows, so they built a film set. But it's come up the entrance hall up the stairs, that's the actual location. And it's very much sort of, very early kind of Gothic architecture and that sort of stuff. So basically, this model was used in the first 6 films. So it changes from film to film. The Astronomy Tower originally just by there would have been Sirius Black's tower. They added the Owlry as well. Harry to ask Cho Chang to Yuval. And then this was used up till the 6th film. And on the last film, they used the computer-generated Hogwarts.
Oh, right, okay.
So, a lot more practical given what they needed to do to the building. As Stuart sort of famously once said in the interview, he said, well, if the staircases can move, why can't the rest of the castle? So he's got 3 Academy Awards. I love Stuart on that one. It's kind of nice to have the other model actually, because the white card model is what the last Hogwarts is based on. So most noticeably, you'll notice the viaduct has changed. So on the original Hogwarts model, basically there was nothing here. However, and a bit of film fudging really, on the last film the Death Eaters need to attack Hogwarts. And once you've blown the bridge up, there's no real way of getting in, so then this magically appears. And it's interesting because the architecture's the same on Fantastic Beasts 2, so when you see Newt Scamander going to Hogwarts, it's like this. So in terms of chronology, it would be like this, then you'd have the first 6 Harry Potters, and then it would magically go back to that again. Hopefully you're enjoying the story, and that's the most important thing.
Okay.
So one of my favourite details is actually this courtyard. This is Madame Pomfrey's medical wing, so it's where a lot of Hogwarts students in. I mean, the health and safety record isn't great, Hogwarts. Ofsted would have a field day, but this courtyard is seen a lot in the film.
Yeah.
And in the final film, if you freeze frame it, you'll see on all four corners a sculpture of an eagle battling a snake.
All right, okay.
And it could be Slytherin,
yeah,
Ravenclaw.
yeah.
But the main reason the sculptors did it was because it's a little reference to Alfonso's home of Mexico.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, it features quite prominently on the Mexican flag.
Okay, lovely, thank you. Hi guys, I am in the Harry Potter Studios shop, and there is